Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go.
Episode 101. It is Thursday here today, a little chilly in Cincinnati, and I am moving some energy, which means that there is releasing happening through my nose and my chest, and old, stuck, gunky energy is moving its way out. And just in time for the new moon. So much good stuff. So yeah, I sound probably a little funny, and also it's all so perfect. It's all perfect. What I wanted to reflect on today is actually about cars, specifically vans. Most specifically, my Honda Odyssey that is on its way to the junkyard, which makes me very sad. And this is something I've been working through over the last week. If you haven't been listening to the podcast, I was in an accident last week on Wednesday, and I'm fine and the other person is fine. But when his truck hit my van, it took most of the left side in, and you can't open the driver's door, and there's damage to the whole structure in the engine. And so they towed it to wait until the evaluator could look at it, and informed us this week that the value of the van is not worth the repair. And so we are saying goodbye to this Odyssey that I just love. And I am guessing that some, maybe not all of you, but some of you have a connection with your cars or your trucks or your vans or your Jeeps or your motorcycles or whatever it is that you use to get around in this world that really requires transportation. We're spread out so much more widely that we really need easy ways to get back and forth. And so I'm going to share the story of my Odyssey as a way to say goodbye and a way to separate myself from the ending of that and the arrival, the beginning of whatever my next transportation mode is going to be. So allow yourself to have whatever matches come up for you for your favorite car that you've owned, or your story of a car you loved that left perhaps not quite in the way you wanted it to leave. So my story with cars is pretty short. I'm 47. I have not owned very many cars. I got a Nissan Sentra. I used the Blue Bomb when I was learning to drive. That's what we called it. It was this huge old blue station wagon. I mean, huge. It's one of the big station wagons with a huge back end. And that's the car I learned to drive in. And then when I was able to buy my own car, I bought this tiny little Nissan Sentra, a little gray thing. It was a 2-door, super tiny, super cute, until someone hit the door on the left door again. And so I upgraded to a brand new black Dodge Shadow, a little 2-door, which was perfect. I drove that for a while. And then I went to a black Honda Accord, a 2-door. Loved that car. Loved it. It was so much fun. It was a stick shift. I mean, I loved that car. We had a lot of good years together, and as I was driving that car, that's also when I was married and got pregnant and had my babies. And so I had this 2-door car with baby seats and carriers and, children's seats in the back. I mean, it was insane. We would struggle to get in and out, and then winter coats and winter weather. and then a stick shift while you've got two kids in the back. It was so crazy, so impractical, but I loved it. I loved it until it was time. In 2006, my son was a few years old, and my daughter a little bit older than that, and we decided, my husband and I at the time, to get a van. And I remember when we started talking about it, it was this big decision. Like, really? Are we going to be a family with a van? There's so much teasing and judgment that happens when you're a mom with a van. Soccer mom with a van was the title that I got. So of course my daughter cooperated by playing soccer, and then I really literally was a soccer mom with a van. But when we were looking at the time, I remember being so clear, like, I want to get a new van, I want to have no miles on it, and I just want to drive that van until it doesn't work anymore. Like, this is just going to be this adventure that we're going to take. And we looked around for a while, and we finally decided on the Honda Odyssey because I love my Honda Accord so much. And we picked this gray silver color, and it had like no miles. We brought it home and just had so much fun exploring a van and opening and closing the doors. And like, it was so exciting to switch to this van. And once you have a van with children, you don't know how you functioned without it, because the doors can be pushed open from the front. You can open with a little button on your waist. You can just put groceries in. Like, it's so convenient, and there's so much room, and there's like hidden storage, and the seats go down and go up. Like, it's just miraculous when you switch to that expanded space after having a little two-door. Oh, it was so fun. And I just remember the joy of like all the spaciousness, and the kids having their own seats with their car seats in it, and I could reach them, from the back still, from the front moving back still, and it was so exciting. It was so much fun getting used to it. And yeah, what I have reflected on since the accident last week is how much of my life I have lived in that van, and the experiences, the moments, the stories, the silly things, the sad things. Like, that van has held space for my growth, my evolution, my journey, really, for 12 years. 12 years, like, that is such a long time. The amount of miles I believe we have on it is like 224,000, if I remember what my husband told me. I've put all of those on, or whoever's been driving with me has put those on. Like, that's a ton of miles. We have taken some awesome road trips. We went to the beach. My first husband and I took the kids to the beach in the van, and then many years later, when Brad and I got married, we, what I call, pimped out the inside of the van. We took out one of the seats and literally got like a car charger and hooked up a TV from the back of the front seats and then put Christmas lights up through the inside and like cruised on down for our vacation. I mean, it was just so fun. It was so much fun. When my children were little, I was really blessed to be able to stay home with them and be able to watch all of their adventures and be such an integral part of it. And I remember just so many times, like, we would load up in the van, the kids and I, and we would go off on a little adventure. We'd go see my sister, or we'd go see friends. We'd do little day trips, park trips. I mean, we were constantly in the van and talking and singing. We would play Lori Burtner, is that her name? Awesome little songwriter with all these kids songs, and we would sing the songs as the kids were growing up. And then eventually it changed, and their music, took over, and so we were listening to songs they liked. And the biggest frustration we've had over the last year or two is that my old van wouldn't work with an aux cord. So we had to listen to radio music or CDs. Like, what? You can't play music from your phone? How quickly we have converted into that new way of playing music while we drive. We've just had some amazing experiences, myself and my family. in the van when I separated from my first husband, and we were living in 2 different homes and going back and forth with the kids. I just remember crying in that car and wondering, like, what does the future even look like? What's going to happen? What is my life going to be like? When when I first started dating my second husband, we we were rushing the one day. I don't remember how it happened, but he had parked behind me, and he got in the van to drive, and he, like, somehow, I don't know how, we forgot that his car was behind us, and he reversed right into his car and imprinted my bumper with his license plate. My back bumper had his front plates put into it. I mean, just how funny, what a symbol of what we were going to step into, that we were beginning this partnership. I literally had his letters on the back of the car. And the van has protected my family and I. We have had just a couple little bumps here or there, but no major accidents. 12 years of driving my children around and watching them grow up, and this van has been such a safe space for us to do that. It's no coincidence that the name of the van is the Odyssey, and the Odyssey is about these long journeys, these voyages of growth and discovery. And as my children have grown up, I have grown up with them. As their mom, I have been learning and healing and becoming right along with them. When the van was hit, my husband came to get me and took me home in his truck, and then my dad and my mom were out of town, so my dad offered for me to use his car, and I'm still using that while we figure out what we're doing next. So I went to school this past week to pick up my son and his friends like I normally do. And when I pulled up in the new car, my dad's car, one of the young men, when he opened up the door, he's like, "What? Now you can't open the door for me anymore?" Because that was his favorite thing about the van. He would stand there and just grin at me through the window and just wait until I would push the button from my driver's seat to open the door for him to get in. He just loved that. And I kept reflecting on that statement when I've been feeling all the shifts that are happening. The van made things, let me rephrase that. I was the mom who took care of things in the van, and my kids needed that from me and allowed me to do that for them. And what I felt when my son's friend said that is, it's a shift now. As whatever car or SUV I move into next, it's not going to be me taking care of everything as the mom with the van the way that I have before. My kids are older now. They don't need me to be taking care of them in that way. And so that, more than anything, is what I have been so sad about over the last week. It's like this era is ending in my journey, and I've loved being the soccer mom with the van. Even when my daughter stopped playing soccer, I just loved the role of nurturing and taking care of them and being the soccer mom. And apparently, whether I was ready to say goodbye or not, it's time for a change. It's time for a shift. I'm very aware that if the van had not been hit, I would have just kept driving it until it stopped driving. And so I am grateful that it happened in the way that it did and nobody was hurt. And yet, it makes me sad. I went to clear out all the contents of the van yesterday, and I was fine until I got there, and then I was getting the things out of the back seat and just remembering my kids' little faces and the way they would look, and I just started crying with joy, with such joy, but just so much emotion. On the way there, I had plugged, because my dad has an aux cord in his car. I had plugged my phone in and it just played whatever song was last on my music playlist. And it was playing A Scribe, which is by Snotum Kor, and it's a chant of protection. So how beautiful is that as I am heading to the tow place to take everything out? That was the chant that was playing. So after I cleared out the van, I put everything in my dad's car and cried for a minute, and then as I was getting ready to drive, I pushed shuffle on the song and just asked my guides, like, okay, show me what I need to know and what's next. And the song that started to play was 100,000 Angels by Bliss, which is one of my favorite songs, and it just describes how there's always angels around us in every moment, and it's simply the choice to tune in and to be aware of them that allows them to be with us. And as I drove away from my van, that's what I kept feeling like, okay, we're just transitioning. We're moving through the threshold to something new, and it's good. It's going to be good. It's already good. And I am fully protected and guided in whatever is coming next. The song that played right after that was Safe and Sound by Capital Cities, which is just so funny, right? Like, we are always safe and sound. And then the one after that was May I Be at Peace by Alicia Mathewson. And so I exhaled as I left and drove home and thanked my dad again and again for the way that his energy was supporting me as I moved through this shift. And then we'll see what's arriving next. We'll see what is a match for this next phase of my journey. But pausing to be with how I feel right now just is an important releasing. I pulled that card last new moon almost a month ago. And I remember when I saw it was called Letting Go, I'm like, oh, we'll let go of things. We always do. We're always letting go. And it was at the end of the spread that I pulled. And what I can see now is literally it's letting go of my van. It's letting go of the way things have been, the comfort zone that I've been in. And then this letting go of the phase of my human journey as the mom in the role that I've known it to be. Letting go of that understanding of who I am and opening up to different ways of relating as a mother to my children. My Odyssey. I'm so grateful for the journey I've taken with this car, this van, and I shower blessings. I shower blessings on the space that this van has held for me and my family. All right, tomorrow is a new moon in Sagittarius. I am going to be hosting a new moon circle tonight and tomorrow night. And tomorrow morning I create a new moon meditation. So I am not going to do a podcast tomorrow. But if you are looking for some inspiration, you can check out the new moon meditation. I'll post it on social media. And then if you have not had a chance to watch those soul stories from Tuesday, it was so much fun. Some of my friends showed up and we just chatted via video and phone about time and time dissolving and how none of us quite know what's coming next, and yet that's totally okay, and just all kinds of fun commonalities. So check that out on YouTube if you're looking for some laughter and contemplation as we step into the new moon energy. And I will meet you back here on Monday. Have a beautiful weekend, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to today's vibration. Let's take this message of pure love out into all of our communities and continue expanding love here on Gaia. So much love from my heart to yours.